Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football this week is brought to you by Head & Shoulders. Check out troyshair.com.
The right picks late could help you win your fantasy football league. We're here with some deep sleepers to pick up in your draft. I'm Carissa Thompson with Yahoo Sports Fantasy Gurus, Brandon Funston and Brad Evans. All right, guys, in some leagues, the motto is to draft running backs and draft them early. But, Brad, you think the Patriots' top back could be a steal late in the game, huh?
Yeah, the former Golden Gopher, Lawrence Maroney. Now, I know you mentioned his name, and a lot of people out there in fantasy land start retching because of the history of disdain they have with Maroney. But look at this. Last year, 850 total yards, 9 touchdowns. He was quietly effective. He's not a guy you're going to necessarily trust as a starting running back, even in a 12-team league, but he's an excellent bench player that you can plug in as a stopgap during those bye weeks, which can be very frustrating to fill open vacancies. In his first preseason game, 9 carries, 30 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Yes, he's going to be involved in some sort of a committee, but he is banking on putting away the dancing shoes, running with more physicality in between the tackles, and I think he could flirt with 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns this season. A terrific value going around pick 116 in early drafts.
All righty then, let's turn our attention to the QBs in Pittsburgh. As you guys probably know, Ben Roethlisberger will be suspended for at least the first 4 games of the season, probably 6. So, Brandon, that's still not deterring you from taking him late? Why?
Well, look, ours is a numbers game here. I'm not going to concern myself with the off-the-field stuff. My personal opinion is a Big Ben aside. I think you got to look at him as a sleeper in fantasy because right now he's going about as the 16th quarterback in fantasy drafts. And realistically, from all sounds of it, it's going to be a 4-game suspension, not a 6-game. He's doing the things he needs to do to reduce that. So you're going to miss the first month of him. This is a guy, 2 of the last 3 years, he's been a top 6 fantasy quarterback in terms of points per game. So realistically, he should be being drafted as one of the first backups in fantasy leagues. That would move him up about 3 or 4 more spots on that quarterback hierarchy in drafts. And I definitely think if you get a later quarterback as your first quarterback, you might want to look at Big Ben coming in because then you can really up your value once you get past that first month of the season.
Moving down to Tampa, where, Brad, you feel a rookie wide receiver could pair up well with a young quarterback in Josh Freeman. Who is it?
Arrgh, that's right, Carissa. Mike Williams is going to be a hidden treasure down there in Buccaneer land this year. And I say that because a 4th rounder, a guy that many projected to go higher in the draft, the reason why he slipped were due to some character issues. He's shown the work ethic. He's shown exceptional athleticism. He's shown terrific hands throughout training camp. And in his first preseason game, 1 catch, 31 yards, tiptoed down the sidelines, against Miami in sloppy conditions. He is clearly the #1 guy in emerging offense with Josh Freeman to hook up with. I think 70 catch, 950 yards, 6 touchdown campaign is upcoming. A terrific value is Mike Williams going around pick 150. He will emerge as a solid wide receiver 3 in 12-team leagues this year.
Nice sound effects there, Brad. Thank you. Well done.
Arrgh!
Brandon, you've been showing your love now for the Steelers, so let's go back up to Pittsburgh. You liked Roethlisberger. Now you think a starting tight end in Pittsburgh is worth a pickup. Who is it?
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, as a longtime Cowboys fan, I just threw up a little bit in my mouth when you hear the love for Steelers that you just mentioned. But yes, I do have a little bit of love for their tight end, at least in terms of his value in fantasy drafts right now, and that's Heath Miller. The guy had 76 catches, almost 800 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns last year. He was basically the exact same fantasy producer that Jason Witten was, a guy that you'll always have to take within the top 5 tight ends in your fantasy draft. But right now, Heath Miller is going 17th among tight ends in recent fantasy drafts, and I do not get that whatsoever. You listen to offensive coordinator Bruce Arians say they're actually going to look to get to Miller the ball a little bit more this year. Remember, they lost Antonio Holmes, so they have to fill that void from his departure. Heath Miller is a guy that they're calling the #2 option in their passing game right now, behind Hines Ward. If he even comes close to what he did last year, he's a steal of a deal right now. So I think he's a starting tight end in your fantasy leagues, but he's not being drafted accordingly.
All right, and you need to go brush your teeth if you just threw up in your mouth. Brad, keep working on the sound effects. Gentlemen, thank you as always, and thank you guys for watching Yahoo Sports coverage of fantasy football.